Good morning.
We're back.
We're back. Technical difficulties took us out.
Well, I was gone for 2 Tuesdays.
yeah, yeah, but then
Then technological.
yeah. I hope you can hear us. We've really been working on the sound. The sound was the problem, but we have the greatest technician that ever was, Matt Murray.
Matt Murray, thank you for making
Yes,
this possible.
he. We would not be on YouTube at all if it were not for
And
Matt.
that's true. Well, for 4 weeks, for 2 of those weeks, we weren't for certain.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
definitely.
but all things work out. That's kind of our theme is today is resting and unrest.
Right, and we're dealing with a principle that God gives us in the midst of the chaos and the unrest.
Mm-hmm.
We can have rest if
Amen.
we follow the principles that He's laid down and let Holy Spirit guide us into it.
Absolutely. The first century Christians they had a word for it, and there's still some in different traditions. It's used. It's the word Hezekiah, and it's not like the king Hezekiah.
Right.
It's a Greek word meaning stillness or tranquility or rest.
Hmm.
And I've been on a search for Hezekiah for a couple of years now,
Amen.
right?
Amen.
And actually, what I was thinking about this morning, what made me think of it is I have a shell that I found on the beach. One of the times of great Hezekiah for me lately, and
Yeah.
it's actually a shell that fits my thumb. And so I was just sitting there rubbing it, and so I wrote on the back of it Hezekiah. And so that's what I saw this morning. I thought, let's just talk about rest. So the ancients kind of had this idea, and their quest was to have their mind and their heart at rest.
Yes. And to be at rest is not to remove yourself from the stage of life that you're acting upon,
Yeah,
but it is to have peace within
yeah.
that stage
Well, it'd be like,
or that season.
well, I think that we could say that rest doesn't relieve you from your responsibility.
No.
And I think some people, they don't, the responsibility is too heavy. And so what they do is they pull away from responsibility. You can't do that. Now, sometimes, you set it aside to rest physically,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
But you can't, it's not an avoidance of responsibility.
A Sabbath. There remaineth a Sabbath to the people of God, the writer of Hebrews chapter 4 says. And that Sabbath, God rested from his labors
Yeah.
uh, on that seventh day. And I am convinced that we can live in Sabbath
All the time.
all the time
Hmm.
if we will allow the Holy Spirit, if we trust God and allow Holy Spirit to bring that peace, that
Hmm.
Sabbath into our lives.
Sure, and I think that's what's going to be challenging for you if that's your desire is that there's not the world in which we have built, especially the Western world, is not one of rest. It's one
No,
of the pace is so uh, frantic and so you're moving all the time, whether it be work or play or whatever. We're constantly doing something.
right. And you and I were discussing in our pre-talk technology
Yeah,
and how technology supposed supposedly
yeah.
is to bring us more leisure
Hmm.
time. But rather than give us more time, it takes
Yeah.
time. And our possession becomes our possessor.
Hmm.
And the technology has not helped us to rest at all.
No, and I think it actually compounds and makes things complicated because even when you think about the advent of the cell phone or the mobile phone. Let's not even say the cell phone. We look at the mobile phone that made work actually more accessible. If you think about it, I was sitting on the beach in Gulf Shores, and there's a guy over there doing his work. And he told me, he said, "I got to go do some work." He's doing his work on the beach. You think, "Oh, that's great." He's able to do his work on the beach. That's how do you get away from work if it's constantly with you?
Right. And, I remember the bag phone.
Bag phone, yeah,
And that was really helpful
yeah,
because I didn't there was many times that I would have to go back to the office or have to go home, and somebody would tell me, "You need to go back to the hospital,
Certainly,
or you need to go
certainly.
to this," and then the phone would ring, and I could answer it in the
Yeah.
car.
But
Uh,
I think that there's an expectation with technology, like with the cell phone. The expectation is now in our culture is if I call you or I text you and you don't answer, then there is an expectation that you have wronged the person socially,
my
and so that
goodness,
makes it no right. I mean,
right, yeah,
okay, yeah.
right.
I sent you an email.
Implied
Why did yeah? Why didn't you?
insult,
Yeah, why didn't you answer my email? And I felt that way. You know, you text somebody, you don't hear back for hours, and are they avoiding me? Do they not like me? And so, right?
right?
And so, where do you get away? Where do you find your solitude with the Lord? Where do you find rest from the technology, the technological madness?
Mm.
If you're expected to be connected to it, it's your tether.
See, again, uh, with this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to access a library of
Yeah.
1,633 books
Mm-hmm.
and amazing help.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, again, that hasn't helped me in my study. I become almost obsessed with
Wow.
this.
Ah, yeah. And we're not
This
saying,
has become a possessor.
and I don't think that either one of us are anti-technology. That's
No,
not. No,
no.
we're not saying
I,
we're
I
anti.
love a tech.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think our point is this: is that it's hard to find Hezekiah. It's hard to find that rest tethered to the technology that consumes your time.
Right. And it's almost become an addiction.
Yeah.
Uh, having, if people leave their cell phone at home, they almost go through panic.
Oh yeah.
I've noted that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if the Wi-Fi is down,
Mm.
there is a weird feeling
Yeah.
that I think addicts would. We need our fix. I need my
Yeah.
fix.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing this in men's Bible study last night. How the scrolling has
Mm-hmm.
become almost a habit, a habitual
Yeah.
thing. That if you have leisure time at all, you're going to be in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
scroll.
I think that connectivity. I think we feel disconnected when we're not involved in that, and I think that's see. This is the problem. This is the problem part of our study. We're going to come up with a solution, but the problem is this, guys, is that connects us to a very unrestful society, a very noisy, busy, overwhelmed society, very angry. Technology hasn't made us better humans. Look at the news cycle. You know,
It's
we're
instantaneous. I get breaking news.
yeah,
Uh,
but I mean, look at the. I mean, like you said yesterday, the football game where a fight breaks out. You know what I mean? We're not riots in the street. We haven't become a better humanity. Is
no.
what we're trying to say. That's our claim today. Is that technology hasn't made us better humans.
Back in the 50s, uh, technology was benign.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We were looking at it and say, "Oh man," we were looking at what will it be in 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
Jetson kind of.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. The Jetsons is that. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking at those and we were saying, "Oh wow, won't it be neat to have this? Won't it be
Mm-hmm.
neat to have that?" But it comes down to we've got it, and it's not as neat as we thought it was going to be. In
Well,
fact,
sure.
it becomes a burden.
Yeah, and so we have other things that we think are going to pacify us and bring us this peace, this rest that I think everybody craves.
Right.
I'm gonna make a claim that I believe we all want rest. We all want peace, right? The problem is that we're looking in the wrong place.
Well, again, there is so much advertising and so forth based upon the fact that we want peace and calm. There's a pill for that.
Oh yeah.
There's an elixir for that.
Yeah.
There's snake oil for that, if you will.
No, I think you're right. I think that there's a promise of what we're looking for in something that can't give it to us.
A stress reliever. There's all kinds of gadgets for stress relief. when it comes down to this, uh, would it not be better to take it to the Lord and leave it there?
And that's where we're going to get to. I mean, that's the that's the issue. But we haven't been trained in our the culture that we've lived in. The culture we live in is stress, anger. You've talked about everybody. The anger tank of our society
Oh,
is
it's
so
full,
full.
and it takes very little to set people off. And you, you know, you have to realize that a lot of the things that you might have done in the past might get you killed this time
Oh, sure.
in dealing with people.
It's true. I mean, Dad said they went to McDonald's the other day and there was a
Yes,
shooting
like
right there.
yesterday,
Oh,
and an
yesterday?
hour before, there'd been a gun battle across the way.
Wow.
And we could, I mean, we could have pulled in there an hour earlier and been shot
Crazy.
just getting our lunch.
And so the question is how do you find rest in a society that is total unrest?
Right, right. And there is no answer in the culture.
Absolutely. And there's certainly no answer in absorbing yourself in the culture.
No.
And I think that's one of the things is we got to change where we sit, where we dwell.
This is a hostile culture. Like I was talking Saturday during the retreat about the fact that somebody hired Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg to come out with commercials that we ought not hate one another. And that's sad that we have to come to somebody telling us don't hate your brother or your sister.
It's sad, but we see hatred intensified, and it's drummed up. We can honestly say that the media, not just the mainstream media, but all media has some way of drumming up intensity and animosity.
Right. They used to sell papers. Now they're selling subscription news on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's incredible.
So they have to glamorize. They have to sensationalize
Yeah.
to get subscription.
Yeah, and it plays on us emotionally. I think I'm see what you think about this. We didn't entertain this, but I'm convinced that my mind and my heart make up my soul, and they are like sponges.
Yeah.
And wherever my sponge sits, it's going to soak up whatever is near my sponge.
That is it. And whatever you expose yourself to is what the sponge. And I think we reach a satiation. In other words, our sponge is so full that, and we keep adding and adding, that our minds were not made for this pace,
Yeah.
for this amount of information,
Yeah.
for the intensity of it, for the just this culture is absolutely satiating us to nothing else can come in.
Yeah, and you think about what comes out of that is whatever's put in it. When we were kids, in youth, they used to tell us garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah.
and how whatever you put in your mind will come out. I mean, it's not going to just it's satiated to the point where it overflows, and what comes out is terrible. And so if you think about the Lot and the Sodom principle, Lot pulled himself close to the Lot, or what did I say?
Sodom.
Sodom. Yeah, he put himself, and then he was in Sodom, and then he soaked up Sodom to the point where his household was destroyed because of where he was positioned.
And he lived there a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a chronological. He started in so and so and ended in so and so. We don't know how long he's there, but he's got a family and he's got a wife from Sodom.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has what he has done. He has immersed him. He is a righteous man who immersed himself in the culture, and the culture destroyed
Destroyed him.
everything that
Yeah.
he had.
And I think that that's a great. It's an event. I believe it happened. I believe it's also a great parable of how a person can get if you move close into this. And I think this is to us. It's not a warning of evil. It's a warning for. It's a call to rest, because this society is so full of unrest that you will be full of unrest, and it will affect it will affect your family.
The thing, we maybe have even forgotten what rest is,
Yeah.
because we have not had it so long as a culture that we perhaps have forgotten how it feels,
Mm-hmm.
the benefits of it,
Mm-hmm.
the advantages of it,
Yeah.
even, and that needs to be rediscovered.
And I think we're gonna, and I think that's a great segue for us to say what we believe the solution to this is and where rest comes from, right?
Right.
We're gonna give you a recipe for rest this morning.
Yeah.
So
And it's a Psalm of David, and I'm amazed how the Lord gave him these songs, if you will. But this one is in Psalm 37, which, interestingly enough, was my reading this morning.
oh really? Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And it was the Psalm of the morning. So let's begin with verse 1. Do not fret because of evildoers. Oh, be not envious toward wrongdoers, for they will wither quickly like the grass, and they'll fade like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land, cultivate faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him. He'll do it. He'll bring forth your righteousness as the light and your judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord. Wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who carries out wicked schemes. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret. It only leads to evil doing.
Yeah. And there's so much more on that, but we're gonna take the top. We're gonna take this top part and kind of give you, like we said, a recipe for rest. Now,
Yes.
I think I come in and out of it. I'm getting better at it. I think a lot of it comes from as what we do as our practice as pastors. But we're going to try to just give you some tips here. So
We begin.
start off with number one.
Do not fret.
Yeah.
Now, that's almost, if you realize that Holy Spirit superintended this, David wrote down, but it was the mind of Christ
Sure.
in him.
Yeah.
This almost sounds like a command.
Mm-hmm.
Do not fret
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
because of evildoers. But I think the whole thing, fretting, has the idea of worrying.
Yeah, sure.
Obsessive concern, if you will.
The wringing of
Wringing
hands.
of hands. And I think it's interesting he starts with that. Do not worry. It's like the Apostle Paul in Philippians, the 4th chapter. Be anxious for nothing,
Yeah.
but in everything, by
Yeah.
prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make your requests known unto God. And the peace of God will superintend and watch over you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this, and you cannot do this without the Lord.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that David here is, he has many enemies. It seemed like there was a success of the enemies, and I feel like that builds up resentment. You know what I mean? How come? Okay, God, how come I'm doing everything right and I'm not progressing? But that guy over there, he's doing everything, evil. He's even actually working iniquity. It's not just somebody that's evil. It's somebody that is actively working to produce rebellion and iniquity against God. And he's prospering.
Yeah, and he says, do not be envious of those.
Yeah.
And that also does not only mean envy and jealousy of them because of the prospering, but it also is don't resent them. You've got, if you can come to a point of neutral in your understanding of people, and where you're not overcome by them or
Yeah.
not undercome
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or undertaken.
Sure. I think a lot of this comes we're we have a society where we can see the works of evil men. We can see it played out. You know what I mean? We can, we have social media, we have Twitter, we have the news cycle, and so we're constantly being the wicked are constantly being thrown up in our face.
Right.
You know what I mean? And their success is being
Right.
thrown up in our face. And I think it causes us to be resentful toward them. It causes us to be resentful for God, and we can't rest because, and first of all, I think we're also worried about what they're going to do to us. So we
Right.
can lock ourselves in a safe room and wring our hands worrying about what's going to happen to us. We could do that very easily.
And worrying about what's going to happen to others that we
Yeah.
love and
Oh,
are
absolutely.
precious to us, and that we not only have our own fretting, but we take on the fretting of a lot of people.
How can you have rest? I mean, it's like when Bethel goes out to drive. I've used this example. There's always a concern what's going to happen to her when she leaves.
Yeah,
But there's no way that I could manage that. There's no way unless I just keep her in the house and I do all the driving. You know what I mean? There's no way I could protect her.
no. See, we really have no control over anything, honestly, if you get
Oh,
right down to
absolutely,
it. I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
and it is in trying to control or worrying about what may never happen, scenarioing, uh, all the time coming up with, oh, this could happen.
Hmm.
Uh, Again, that does not make for peace. He goes on and says, why do you worry about wrongdoers? They fade like
Hmm.
grass and fade like. But then he says in verse 3, do not fret, trust in the Lord,
Yeah.
and do good. In other words, dwell in the land, cultivate faithfulness. This is so important that we realize that we trust in the Lord and we continue to do good, even when it's thrown in our face.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or even though it may not be the one that causes success in an evil world.
Right.
You know what I mean? You think about God's way and you say, "Hey, that doesn't work in the real world." I've heard that so many
I
times in
have
my
to, yeah.
that does, those
Yeah.
principles don't work. It's like I was telling you earlier about, there's it almost seems like what is noble doesn't cause success. Well, it doesn't matter. What is virtuous is what brings God pleasure over my life, and it brings me rest.
Right.
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 Okay, think about this. If you wait upon God for your finances and you wait upon God for that and he comes through, then there's rest. If I go out and I commit perjury or I commit crime to get money, I will never be at rest even though I have the money. Right?
That see, we do not have rest. We bank on the Lord,
Hmm.
literally.
Yeah.
But then we revert back to our old thinking
Hmm.
that I've got to work to provide,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you do.
Oh, sure.
That
Absolutely.
pro-
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely.
But the thing of it is, we're not really trusting Him.
No.
We're trusting in ourselves that we generate the,
Hmm.
and then when you don't have a job, uh, again, do you trust in the Lord? Now, I don't mean be lazy because I don't
Oh, sure.
think that.
Sure.
But do you understand what
Oh,
I'm trying
sure,
to say?
sure, absolutely. I think that that it's a risk.
Oh
But
my goodness.
but listen, what he didn't say here is he says trust in good or trust in good outcomes.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that at all. It is specific in the Lord. So there is a hope, there is a faith, there is a love in the person. Not you're not trusting in what could happen. You're trusting in the person.
Well, and that uh, it's a love relationship on his part too, and God gets a lot of bad press. He is for us,
Hmm.
not against us, and so much of the time people a vindictive, punishable God,
Mm-hmm.
a God that really hates us, and
Uh-huh.
only says this so he can show us that he doesn't care for us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is just foolishness.
Absolutely.
That's silly.
Oh, absolutely. But I think we have more trust in bad things happening than God's providence. And I think that God's providence is such a powerful concept in my life these days, that He is the one that provides.
Again, we worry more about what the bad things. We never worry about the good things.
Y-
I think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the good is going to happen. Well, I'm going to worry about that.
Yeah.
No, because we know the good. But it goes back to that stupid tree of good and evil.
Yeah. The knowledge of good and evil. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we see the good, but there's always that evil that's back here.
And Christy and my wife and I have been trying to live by two rules. We call them two laws. One is seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and the second is do not worry about tomorrow, or take no thought for tomorrow. And that's a real challenge to keep those. We've been it's a daily restart, so to speak. But when we find that we are able to do this for whatever time period that is, Hezekiah comes to us because it's like, okay, I have what I call the daily orthodox, and I've got sayings by these different guys. And this guy says this. He says, "When you cannot resolve the issue and don't know what to do, trust in God's providence and don't think about it anymore."
Yeah. Whoa. What? Yes. That's beautiful. But what are we going to do?
We're going to think about what's going to happen.
Well, we give it to God. We're Indian givers.
Yeah, we take it right back.
We take it back.
Yeah, I think that, and let me give you some account of what my advice for that is: don't give up in the giving. If you're going to take it back, give it. This may be a play for a long time, where it comes into your mind. And another thing is don't try to just avoid.
No.
Because and that's not what he's saying here. He's not saying, what I mean by is this: go watch a movie or read a book, to get away from it. That's not the way you do it, because probably chances are when the movie's over, you're going to go right back to worrying. You're going to go right back to this fretting. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to face it head on, and I'm going to remove it. I'm going to say, God, you're in charge. I give it to you. Your providence, and I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to leave it with you. That's better than avoidance.
Right. But we've not been taught to do that. We've been taught to avoid.
Yeah.
We've been taught to worry. And sometimes I think it must be in the DNA because I come from a family of warriors, and it's difficult. You learn at an early age. I'm sure that we have children in the elementary age that are concerned and worried about many things.
Oh yeah.
Where childhood ought to be a time of rest, a real rest.
Well, sure, but I think again it goes back to the technological advances. Like, okay, I remember watching, and I think I've said this before. If I have, oh, I'm sorry, but I remember watching.
We'll forgive you.
Okay, I was watching a thing one night on. I think it was Walter Cronkite or somebody was talking about nuclear war, and they were showing children underneath desks, and they were doing these. Remember, they were doing these drills, and we would have these drills.
Right.
Right. I mean,
I went through that.
Yeah, I remember at Marionville. I think we had the drill. After that, it kind of died. But that freaked me out as a child. You know what I mean? And I actually didn't believe I would live till I was 40. That was I thought the world would end before I would turn 40. Here I am at 53. The world's still turning. But as a child, that image was indelibly imprinted on my brain. The house is being leveled, and by the when they did the tests,
right?
And the houses. So we subject ourselves to images that perpetuate this fretting.
We would have scheduled tests, and they would run we called them air raid sirens back then.
Yeah.
And every time the storm sirens go off, I think about
You still do it? Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how I mean, you can't get around that. I mean, there's no way because preparedness is important. Don't get me wrong. We're not saying be unprepared. But when preparedness becomes an obsession with that negates God, his providence, then we have a problem.
You know, the weekly reader, when I was in elementary school, I don't know where they still have that thing or not. That did more to upset and cause worry.
Really?
Oh yeah, because they were talking about issues on our level,
Yeah.
and we discussed it afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, we thought we were going to freeze.
You thought you were
Back
gonna
then,
freeze?
yeah, climate back then was we were going to freeze. It was going to get cold.
Yeah.
The heating up is only been in the last decade.
Oh, I see. So the ice age. You have another ice age.
Yes, that's
Oh,
what the
okay.
weekly
Gotcha.
reader was.
Oh my goodness.
And talking about you know, conservation and so forth, which was okay.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that, but it did bother me that. And then when the winters were cold, you thought, oh yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. The ice age. I was listening to a guy talk about yesterday about nihilism, and
Oh, yeah.
nihilism is and
Right.
this is philosophical, but Nietzsche was really big into nihilism, and basically is there's no purpose in life.
Right.
And so, you know, we're excluding God more and more and more out of the marketplace, out of the school, out of everything. And we're phasing this, you know, the providential hand of God out, which is interesting because our nation was built on providential God. Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
and so what's happening, and he said this, is the people don't, what is the meaning of life? And they're unaliving themselves more now than they ever have because there's no purpose to life.
Right.
And we think that, you know, saying stuff like your purpose is to, you know, to protect the environment and keep the species going. Well, that's not a viable purpose for suffering.
No.
You know what I mean? And so people just unalive themselves because they see no reason to live.
Right. And this is why suicide rate is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, unalive. Some YouTube sometimes doesn't like the S word, suicide. So
Oh, they don't.
yeah,
Well,
that's why unalive.
it's a truth.
Well, I know. I
Yeah.
just was
But
trying to beat the
again,
algorithm
I
here.
think that a lot of the ills of our culture
Mm-hmm.
have come out of the purposelessness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have purpose, therefore.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like animals. We're here, but without no reason for our existence.
Yeah. And so what we're saying today is one of the way to find rest is to find purpose in God, in His providence. You know, trusting in His providence, in His person gives us meaning, gives us purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, it comes down to, well, let's go on. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land, cultivate faithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that is a imperative. It's a command.
Mm-hmm.
To cultivate faithfulness
Mm-hmm.
to whom? To God.
God.
To God.
Mm-hmm.
If we're faithful and to Him, we will be faithful to others.
Amen. And I think we'll find, you know, the finding rest is in the fact that we are pleasing to God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That God's not out to get me. You know, I think, you know, I don't think He's out to get me anyway, but my faithfulness is a sign to me that I am walking with Him.
His faithfulness to us ought to be reciprocated
I agree.
with our faithfulness to Him and to others.
Mm-hmm.
I love number 4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Yep.
Where is your delight?
I
What
agree.
is your delight?
Mm-hmm.
You know, delight says to me that which I'm willing to almost become a idol to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm willing to spend money on it. It gives me great pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think people find rest.
Excuse
no,
me.
you're fine. Albeit a temporary rest like, okay, like fishing. You know, man finds delight in he goes out and he finds fishing, and there is a sense of relief. There's a sense of getting away.
Right.
It's a temporary thing. It's not as
Right.
good because you got to go back home into unrest.
Right.
You know, delighting yourself in the Lord can be all the time, regardless of what activity you're doing, whether it be responsibility or recreation. You can find that rest in Him by
Right.
delighting in Him.
And the delight does not degrade
Mm-mm.
with him.
Yeah.
Uh, Many times, it doesn't take very long for me going fishing, not catching fish, to lose the delight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
Right.
There's a limit.
There, right. Yes, there is. But if I don't, again, that which people spend tremendous amounts of money to get the delight, there is also disappointment.
Well, there's an end to it.
Yeah.
Or there could be, like, okay, let's say that you and I were talking about sports, and how people have almost idolized sports in our culture. And you think about a season, you have a great season and you're feeling good. You know, the
Right,
Chiefs win
yeah.
the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and then the next year they lose every game. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so the delight is up and down because it's not a steady sure thing like God is.
I do not necessarily enjoy watching other people do their thing. I
Yeah.
enjoy doing it when we were out
Yeah.
there on Sunday afternoons playing football.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
that was fun. That was delightful.
Yeah.
But even though it like to kill me,
Well, that's what I
several
was going to say. I mean, think about skating. You used to love skating until you broke your
Broke
leg
your
playing
leg,
skating.
yeah,
Doing
yeah.
skating.
and I don't do that anymore. There was no 6 months in a cast, man. But again, the Lord is always the delight.
Yeah.
The delight level always is supernaturally high.
Yeah, and if you think about what he's saying there, he says, "Delight yourself in the Lord." Where does delight come from? It comes from the heart, right?
Right.
He says, "Then He will give you the desires of your heart." If you delight in the Lord, He's going to give you the Lord.
Right.
He becomes your possession. You know what I mean? As you're His possession, He becomes yours, and that's when life really kicks off.
He says delight, and that means that I'm willing to surrender everything that I am and everything that I have to Him.
Yeah.
And therefore, I am in position for Him to give me the desires of my heart.
Well, sure, which it ultimately is Him. Whatever He, we find that there's an alignment of heart and delight in Him, and we get whatever He is, whatever He has. I begin to want what He is, and I think that I come in and out of this because like I have a great prayer time in the morning, and I delight that. I look forward to that. I don't like it when there's not that. You know what I mean? It's almost like a good cup of coffee. If I don't get my good cup of coffee, I don't have that delight like I did,
Right.
And so the problem is that if I don't carry that on out of that morning session, if I'm not walking in that delight in the evening and carrying that through, the rest rubs off.
Yeah.
Right? Because maybe I spend the morning in my prayer. I've done my thing, and then I go flipping through the news or news reels, and now I've lost whatever I got in the morning.
Right. Because those are peace and rest removers.
Absolutely.
Right. They prevent you from continuing in the glory.
I think it's what happened to Moses. I think Moses was in the presence of God up on the mount, and when he came down, it was drawn out of him.
Right.
You know what I mean? By the people or by the situations or whatever, the world he was living in.
Right.
And that's why he put the veil over his face at first.
Yeah, because he did not want them to see
The glory fading.
the glory fading, which, kind of bothers me in a way, because where's he getting compliment
Oh,
on
yeah.
it?
You got a little clout,
Hey, look
man.
at that glory there.
Hey, I gotta step lightly around
Yeah.
Moses because Moses is so amazing.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if he wasn't battling the veil bothers me.
It
Yeah.
used to. I used to think it was because people couldn't look, and it partly
Well,
was
at the
that.
beginning it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah. But
but
then,
at the beginning, but then it became. He should have took it off and said, "Folks,
yeah,
if you why when you're up close to him,
you shine.
you shine.
Yeah,
When you get away, it fades."
yeah. I agree. It fades because there are faders
Yeah,
that are in our world. They're
right.
built-in faders, and people are one of them, guys. I love people, and I can't stand people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right? I mean, right?
yeah.
Because
Amen.
there can be people that add to you, and there can be people that take away.
Right,
And if you delight in people, you're going to be a yo-yo.
right. Now let's talk about committing.
Yeah, because
Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He'll do it. Boy, that sounds like Proverbs 3, 5, and 6,
yeah, it does.
doesn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding.
Yeah.
In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will see you through. Now, that is exactly what here. He'll bring forth your righteousness as light, and your judgment as the noonday. Oh my goodness, why are we not committing ourselves to God?
Yeah, and I like how he says commit your way to
Yeah.
the Lord. Because
Yeah.
I think we tend to want our way. And you've talked about that before. You surrender your rights and you become a Christian. Well, and you do. You also surrender your way, which is wonderful. People don't understand your way is really not a good way. My way is terrible.
I hear the word say, there is a way that seems right to man, but it's the ways of death. And so much of the time, we say, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
We so want our way that we'll do anything, even rebel against the Creator
Yeah.
and Savior of the world.
Yeah, I've heard people, and I may have said this. If you've said this, you're in good company. That's not the way I would have done it.
No.
No, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you see? We have no concept of past, present, and future. We have no concept of all the avenues. Of course, you wouldn't have done it that way, but God did it this way because it's God, and He can do it whatever way He wants.
Do you know that's the epitome of pride? My way's better than your way.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah. So we're actually putting a judgment call that you're in. I would have done it differently, and I've done it right, and it would have been. It would have stayed. And you are inferior to my
me.
superior.
To me, wow.
Convicting, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's terrible to say that. It's terrible to think that my plan is superior to God's plan.
Ooh.
Right.
See, that's the ultimate. When you say it to another human being, it's nasty and it's wrong.
Yeah.
But when it's the ultimate insult to the Almighty.
Yeah. Who was planning long before you were ever born?
Before the foundations of the world, before anything was.
I mean,
I was in His mind. You were in His mind. He wrote the book, Frank book, the Joel book, the Destiny. He had it. He had it. Seeing people say, "Well, I deviate." Yes, you do. We tend to go our way, but I am convinced in the providence of God, He brings me back.
yeah, and I'm not so sure He doesn't use those deviations for purposes.
Oh,
He knows,
well,
right? And
yeah.
I'm not so sure He doesn't engineer deviations.
I believe that He engineers failure.
Yeah.
Long years ago, I heard a sermon series on strange ministers,
Yeah.
and one of those was the ministry of failure.
Okay, we got to throw Judas into the pot,
Oh my goodness, yes.
right? He was.
Right.
Remember, it says Jesus said about him. It was planned beforehand.
Right.
He was destined to do what he was going to do, right?
Right. You go over into Ephesians, and it says that we are His poem. In other words, we are His design, and that to move into the good works in which He has foreordained.
Yeah, and what's cool about this text is saying this: if you get involved in it, if you commit your way, then you will see the righteous path pulled out in front of you. See, this is our problem: is we don't know God. This has been my claim for the last month and a half. Is if we would just commit our way to the Lord, then we would see the right path. We could pray the right path. But we're so clouded by evildoers. We're so clouded by our culture that we can't see the right path. Our desires are off. Our trust is off. These are layered, right?
Right. And because of that,
We're blind.
we miss the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
The blessing, the river of God,
Yeah.
the blessings of God.
Our pain is prolonged,
Oh, yeah,
right?
right.
I
And
even think the end road is delayed.
yes, see, and that is a big problem right now. People are experiencing delay, and therefore they don't trust the promises of God because it has been delayed. But is it because of us? Have we unintentionally, by our lifestyle or our thinking, stopped the flow of
Okay.
God?
Okay, I think the Exodus is a powerful parable. I believe it happened. I believe it's a powerful parable that teaches us. They come to Kadesh Barnea,
Yes,
right?
right.
And they balked.
Yes,
And they were delayed 40 years going in. I do
Right.
not believe God wanted them to be delayed 40 years.
no, no. And some have said, well, they had to have the wilderness experience. No, they didn't.
I don't believe they had. No.
No.
Mm-mm.
If they had, they could have. They in 1 week they could have been in the promised land.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And I wonder how many times we have delayed our promised land simply because we balk.
And
We don't commit our way. We fight.
they were afraid they were going to die,
And they died anyway.
and they died anyway. And a whole generation had to be, had to go, had to die.
Yeah.
Before the very promise of God. And I don't want, I want to live to see the promises of God. I don't want to pull a Moses.
Yeah, I agree. Or the people of Israel. You know what I mean? Where
right.
you don't go in to see. Moses didn't get to go and see either. But, I think these principles here of trusting in the Lord, right? Delighting in the Lord,
Right.
committing your way to the Lord are ways to find rest and get into the groove.
I really believe that the first 6 verses give us the plan, and the result is verse 7.
Yeah.
Rest in the Lord. Again, that's a command.
Yeah.
And wait patiently for Him. But if you do these things above, then that comes very comfortably and naturally.
I agree. Because if there's mistrust or distrust, I think that there's a mistrust because I think people are ignorant of the power of God. I think there's a distrust because we're not sure He's going to do what we want Him to do. I think we delight in everything else but Him.
Right.
You know what I mean, why aren't we hungry for prayer? Why aren't we hungry to be together with the people of God?
Right.
It's not a duty; it's a delight. And then also we don't commit. We commit our way to people. We put people in charge of our destiny. And I think you're right. I think if we would do these first 3, the fourth is natural, resting in the Lord.
How in the world can we, living where we live, make this reality? Not lift it off the page and make it a reality.
Move into a hermitage out in the woods.
No.
Oh, okay. That's not going to work.
I'd rather go to the secret place of the Most High, in the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91.
Yeah.
I think we need to continually
I think there has to be
get to know Him.
Yeah, but you and I have both experienced through the solitude retreats that we did, we have experienced a great measure of that rest that I wish could be communicated in what you just said. How do we take the monastery, the secret place of the Most High? How do you do that mentally, spiritually, in a dog eat dog world?
2 words: silence and solitude.
I think turning off the technology, turning off the news, turning off the society for just moments can be. I drove out to Fellows Lake a couple of weeks ago before I went on vacation, and because it's very noisy in where we live down here,
I know.
very noisy,
Right.
and so trying to find a place where there's no noise, I even left the phone. I left my phone in the car at the park part,
Right.
and I walked down without my phone to the beach,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think that what?
I'm just thinking how neat that is. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and there are noises there, but there's also me getting away. I think there has to be a getting away. There has to be a departure from that because, like I said, put your mind in the environment where you could soak up God.
I've noticed on television that Pearson Creek watershed just gives us a moment of rushing water in the beauty of a creek on TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. Comes on just for a second. These moments were brought to you by
Oh,
Watershed.
I think we've got to unplug. That's my
Well-
advice is unplug and from the world and plug into Him.
There's three practices I see here, and they're interrelated. First is to Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
to honestly have a time of rest,
Mm-hmm.
which involves silence
Mm-hmm.
and solitude, which doesn't mean that we go out and build the hermitage in the backyard and or go to the cave and become a hermit or a monk, but it means to be alone with Him.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lost the desire to just be with Him.
Yeah, and okay. So if you want to get also a little practical, is take these 4 words. I would take these 4 words. I actually put there's these 4 words on the front of my journal,
Yeah,
my preaching journal. These are the four words are trust, delight, commit, rest.
yes,
Okay, and put those somewhere where you can be reminded of them.
right,
Right.
right,
So again, trust, delight, commit, rest.
right,
And then think on how can I do those things. You know what I mean? I would say that when you drive out to Fellows Lake, you park the car, you leave the phone in the car, you go down to the beach, and you sit down and you have these 4 words with you. And begin to say, I trust you, Lord. What does that mean? I commit my way to you. I delight in you. Tell Him why you delight in Him. You know what I mean? And think on the reasons why you delight in Him.
right,
You know what I mean? What makes you love God? And then resting is saying, God, I am gonna honor you by giving this to you.
right. And if we could do that, and not just once, but make it a habit
Mm-hmm.
of going and we have to interact. We live with people. We interact with people.
Yeah.
But there are times when we need to withdraw
Yeah.
and be only with Him.
And I would say if you're gonna be amongst people, take those 4 things and put them in your pocket. And while you're sitting in the meeting, like you're in a tense meeting or you're in a business meeting or you're in a committee meeting, sit there and those 4 words are somewhere where you can see them. I think we have to do something to bring them to the forefront of our lobe.
Right. And it's not going to happen by osmosis.
No.
You're going to have to actually put them and think upon them, meditate upon them.
Yeah, I would say if you're sitting down to work at your finances for the week or whatever, you put your finances down, and those 4 words are right there with you.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Where you got to put them somewhere where you're constantly reminded of, hey, wait a minute. I know the finances don't look. I'm going to commit that way to the Lord. Or your children. You've got a problem with your children. I think these 4 words are so important. That's why I put them at the front of my journal.
Right.
I mean, big
When
letters,
you open,
boom.
when you open them, there they are.
Mm-hmm.
I would also recommend the rest of
Oh yeah,
verse,
sure.
Psalm 37.
Yeah.
Because it's very it builds faith,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd recommend the whole word, but
Yeah.
37 is special too.
Well, yeah, and I think also, you've got tools. You've got the Lord's Prayer, that you could pray throughout the day. I think that we need to be intentional about getting this, the rest into our life, where you can exhale because God is God.
Honestly, you can Sabbath on at any time that you
Mm-hmm.
have the moment.
Yeah.
You can have silence. Now I'm fortunate
Yeah.
because I can
Yeah.
turn these things
Yeah.
off.
Sure.
And Saturday morning, I wanted to have my time with the Lord when everybody was coming into the cafeteria at Baptist Hill, and the kids were running, and I just turned my hearing aids off, and me and the Lord were
Ah,
in
that's
quiet.
nice. That's nice. Yeah,
But
I wish I had that sometimes.
I can't always do
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to interact with people.
Can I throw one more thing out? We got a few minutes. I would say, um, if you watch watch your commitments,
Mm. Mm.
because the more commitments you make, there are people who are addicted to being needed, and so they're going to continually fill their calendar
Right.
with appointments and
Right.
things, like where every weekend you've got something. Don't do that to your life. The weekend ought to be a time when you vacate, but if you're constantly filling your nights with activities and your weekend with activities, you are going to forfeit your ability to be at rest. Yes?
Right.
So, and you may feel responsible. You may feel like, oh, I've got to do this because people are counting on me. Jesus pulled himself away. Jesus did not do everything everybody wanted him to do.
No, he did not. He understood that, see, more than anything, he was at rest.
Yeah.
He
Mm-hmm.
was stable,
Mm-hmm.
and he did not have to prove himself. He did not have to. Uh, so much of the time, we do things because others demand it of us,
Yeah.
and he did not have to do what others demanded. In fact, he didn't do what others demanded.
It's mind-boggling, especially from a ministry perspective, that the pastor and lay leaders, anybody who will be so loaded down with events, and they're doing something all the time, that they wonder why there's no peace in their life. They wonder why there's no joy in the ministry. It's because we've become so consumed with what everybody else wants that we're not finding that center of rest.
Your mother and I came to the conclusion one time years ago that we were serving the church rather than the Lord.
Oh, absolutely.
And at that, we attempted to try to rectify that. But the precedence was set that people
Yeah.
were still
Yeah.
demanding. See, the hired holy man
Mm-hmm.
is going, we pay your salary.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we expect you to be at our beckoning call.
And then they turn, when your stress is unbearable, then they say, well, you're a man of God. You shouldn't be stressed. You shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be angry. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's a bad cycle. Listen, if you trust in people, if you delight in people, if you commit your way to people, if you rest in people, you're going to be miserable.
Jesus
Right?
never did that.
No.
He never committed himself
Yeah.
to people because he knew them.
I think a good test would be this: to honestly look at your life. If you can do this, if you can honestly look at your life, and you could have those four things, you could say trust, delight, commit, rest. And then there's a blank at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were honest to fill that out, if you could say, right now I'm trusting in money, right now I'm delighting in the world, right now I am committing my way to everybody else. If you could honestly say that, you could see where your rest factor is, and see why you're not at rest.
See, the Lord brings balance into your life if you will allow it. We have to interact, but we also have to have the time with Him.
Mm-hmm.
And so He brings a balance into our lives which is the rest that remains to the people of God. The interesting, when you went back to Kadesh Barnea, they failed to enter the rest that he had for them
Yep.
there. And Hebrew writer says, don't fail as they did. Enter into his rest.
Absolutely.
So therefore, the rest is here and now. It's not after
No, it's
we
right now.
leave this world.
But you have to. These are ways that you can.
You have to appropriate it.
And I think these
by
are ways.
trust,
Delight, commit,
commit,
rest.
rest.
Cool. That's a good way to end. Guys, thanks. We're glad to be back. We'll see you next week.
Amen.